Hello, students. This lesson is about managing unknown vocabulary, using the context to understand the meaning of words. This lesson, when you are encountering new words and phrases, by the way, encountering means meeting. Like you come across, you meet a new word or a phrase. A phrase is more than one word. So maybe 2 words or 3 words that go together. Okay, so when you are encountering new words and phrases, if you stop to look up every unknown item in a dictionary, it will interrupt your reading and make reading comprehension more difficult. So it becomes annoying to have to look up every word you don't know. So your goal is to understand the key vocabulary, that's the most important words, that allows you to comprehend, that means understand, comprehend the main ideas and supporting details of a reading. Some vocabulary, some of the words, some vocabulary is not crucial to your comprehension of a reading. That means it's not very important for you to understand those words in order to understand what the reading says. You could skip them. So you can learn to skip these words. It means just keep going. So you can skip these words and phrases. Often, an approximate understanding, if you somewhat understand, just a little bit, an approximate understanding of a new word or phrase is enough for you to keep reading. You can also choose strategies for using context, words and ideas near the unknown word or phrase. So this right here, this explanation here is explaining what context is. So you can choose strategies for using the context, the words and ideas that are near the unknown word or phrase, to help you read without interruption. So that's what this lesson is about. We're going to use some strategies, and we're going to use those strategies to make use of the context so that you don't have to look up these words in a dictionary. First of all, unfamiliar words may not even need to be known. For example, if you read this sentence, CVD, which, by the way, this stands for cardiovascular disease, CVD has grown at an astonishingly rapid rate in the developing world. So let's say that you don't know what astonishingly means, but you do understand the whole rest of the sentence. So if you read the sentence without the word, it would still make sense. CVD has grown at a rapid rate in the developing world. So in this case, you could skip the unfamiliar word. Although the word astonishingly may be unfamiliar to you, understanding the meaning of this word is not important for understanding the meaning of the sentence. Rapid rate gives you enough information so that you can skip astonishingly. So we know what rapid rate means. That means very quickly, very fast. So we already know that CBD has grown quickly in the developing world. So in this case, we could just skip looking up this word and still understand the sentence. Let's look at context clues. Let's read this sentence. Medical research requires a great deal of money. Most of the funding comes from the government. So in this case, we can't just ignore this word because it's an important word, funding. Most of the funding comes from the government. But we do have a clue in the first sentence. Medical research requires, that means it needs, it demands a great deal of money. So here we're talking about money, and then we're talking about funding, the funding that comes from the government. So sometimes there are clues to the meaning of an unknown word in the surrounding context. Here, you can guess that funding means about the same thing as money. Now let's look at an example that gives a definition. Diseases that affect the lungs and breathing are referred to as respiratory diseases. In this case, we're looking for a definition. If the writer thinks that a word might be unfamiliar to readers, he or she often provides a definition using signal words such as is referred to. So here we have are referred to because it's more than one. But here is referred to, is called, is known as, is defined as, that is, or in other words. So any of these could be used to signal a definition. It could say diseases that affect the lungs and breathing are called respiratory diseases. Or diseases that affect the lungs and breathing are known as respiratory diseases, and so forth. So the definition, the meaning of this word here is already in the sentence. It's here, diseases that affect the lungs and breathing. Another strategy is contrast. If you find a contrast inside of the sentence, it will give you clues about the meaning of the word. For example, heart disease occurs more often in people who lead sedentary lives than in people who are physically active. If you don't know what the word sedentary means, you do know, though, that there's a group of people who lead the sedentary lives, and there's a group of people who are physically active. And these are opposite each other because the heart disease is in the group of people who are sedentary, not so much the group of people who are active. So we're looking for a contrast. We see that sometimes the context offers a contrast. In this case, there is a contrast between sedentary and physical exercise, or being physically active is the same as exercising. So you can guess that sedentary means inactive, or someone who does not exercise. Another way that you can find the meaning is to look at examples. In this case, it says the hazards of smoking include CVD, lung cancer, and other diseases. If we don't know what hazard means, but we do know that the examples of a hazard is cardiovascular disease or lung cancer or another disease. So you can guess from these examples what hazard means. You may be able to guess the meaning of a word from examples that the writer provides. In this sentence, several diseases are given as examples of hazards. So you can guess that hazard means something bad, a danger, because we know that CVD is something bad, cardiovascular disease. No one wants that. Lung cancer is something bad, and of course other diseases. So these would be a danger. There may be signal words such as for example, or for instance, or such as. So those might be signals that an example is coming. In this case, the signal is include. The hazards of smoking include, and then it gives the examples. So that's another possible signal word. Another strategy is to use words you already know to help you with words you don't. So in this case, smallpox was once one of the world's most deadly diseases. So we're going to connect the word deadly to a word you know. You may be able to guess the meaning of a word by connecting it to a word you already know. You know the word dead, so you can guess that deadly is related to death. Something that is deadly causes death. So if we know the word dead, we can figure out deadly is related. Review the strategies. If you understand the text, even if you do not understand every word or phrase in it, you can ignore the unknown items. Do not stop reading. Continue reading until the end of the sentence, even into the next sentence. By doing this, you will see the full context of the unknown word or phrase. Look for signals of context clues, such as definitions, examples, and contrast in the context to help you figure out the meaning of the unknown words and phrases. Use your understanding of context to make a guess about the meaning of the unknown word or phrase. If an unknown word looks like a word you already know, use that knowledge to guess the meaning of the unknown word. Try this. The surgeon used a sharp instrument to cut a small incision in the patient's chest. What does the word incision mean? Are there words in the context that help you? Yes. The words sharp instrument right here. A sharp instrument could be a scalpel, it could be a knife. And cut. The sharp instrument's going to cut the incision. So sharp instrument and cut imply that incision is an opening that is made in the patient's skin. It's a hole that's cut into the patient's skin.